Hello and welcome to C++ Weekly. I'm yours, Jason Turner. In this episode, I am going to cover another feature of C++20, and you might notice that I'm actually using Visual Studio today, which I know I don't do very often, but it is the appropriate tool to use because at the time of the recording of this episode, it is the only compiler that supports this new feature of C++20. So we need to dig into this and see what it's about and what the use cases are. Now, it has been commented to me relatively recently that it seems that my episodes aren't necessarily fully planned out, and that is absolutely 100% true. But it's done with a reason. The reason is I want to help teach you how to experiment and learn things on your own. I am not just trying to teach you something that I already know. I'm trying to show you some of the process of discovery on these things, where we try things and we see what happens and we see what the successes and failures are in many cases. It's not always true, but it's a lot of what I do like to do on this channel. So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of show you how I learn and how I've learned a lot of what I do know about C++. Okay, so if you've been programming in C++11 for a while, you are hopefully using enum class, or enum struct, if you will. I've started to prefer enum struct, even though it's not what most people expect, but logically it makes more sense than enum class because all the values in here are public. But your coworkers might hate you if you do this. So if we've got this set of values, something like this, and then we want to use these values. Let's see. No, actually, I'm going to name this. Let's do this. So you might have something like this, and you might have a, I don't like default here. No, let's not do default here. Default can cause its own problems here because if we add another value to the enum statement, then we're not going to get a warning that we have an unhandled value in our switch. So what we're going to do instead is maybe do something like this. And down here, you could do error handling, you could do an assert, you could do a throw, you could do whatever you wanted to do. All right, so you've probably written code like this lately. This has been since C++11 that we've got these more strongly typed enums. Now, if I try to do this, this isn't going to compile. And we can see what IntelliSense is telling us here. Identifier value 1 is undefined. That's because it is now this scoped enumeration. That is what the standard actually refers to it as. Well, you know what? On a really big switch statement, this is kind of annoying. So what we have in C++20 is using enum. And this is just the exact same thing. We're pulling these values into our local namespace. We do have a minor problem here. You see the squiggles. We are still getting IntelliSense errors saying expected value, identifier unknown, whatever. So IntelliSense is not quite keeping up here, but let's just go ahead and build this current file just to be sure here. So the error that I'm getting is that there's no main that is known. So let's just go ahead and add a main. And let's see if we can I don't see any easy way to increase the font size here, unfortunately. But if I do add a main, it's just going to be a main that does nothing at the moment. then I can see that my using enum did in fact compile and link with no problem. So IntelliSense isn't quite there, but this is what using enum gives us. It gives us a way to pull this into our current namespace. Now, this can be used, I think, for other things. And again, this is part of the process of discovery. So we know that this is the use case that is documented in the paper that brought using enum to us. But what other ways can we use it? Like if I were to create some other namespace, can I then down in here do this, for example, without the capital V. And we're going to expect that IntelliSense might still give us a hard time here, but let's go ahead and build and see if the compiler does. And the compiler doesn't, so we can use using namespace just like any other using declaration. So maybe if we also wanted to do something like using enum values here, and then have a local member variable here called current value, and see if we can just use this thing. Like, can it become part of our struct as well? And yes, it can. That works as well. So using enum is going to be just a lot like any other using declaration in C++. Again, coming in C++ 20. Visual Studio's compiler is the only one that supports it, and as you can see, IntelliSense does not yet support it, but that's all right. It gave us the opportunity to play with it. So thanks for watching this episode of C++ Weekly. I hope you enjoyed these episodes. Be sure to like and subscribe and do all the standard YouTube things.